Welcome to this explainer. Right now, literally at this exact second, a massive, almost unimaginable operation is happening across the world's oceans. Every single day, thousands upon thousands of huge cargo ships are crossing the seas. They're carrying the absolute lifeblood of our modern existence. We're talking the food we eat, the fuel that runs our cities, the electronics we use to communicate, and the raw materials we need to build, well, everything. But here's the fascinating paradox about global trade. Even though the oceans are just boundlessly huge, this whole colossal system is shockingly fragile. It really all hangs by a very delicate thread.
To really wrap our heads around this fragility, we gotta look at shipping straits. Simply put, a shipping strait is a narrow, naturally occurring waterway that connects two much larger bodies of water. You can think of them as the Earth's vital choke points. Seriously, the entire global economy, from the price you pay for gas to whether you can get your favorite consumer goods, completely depends on these tiny, super vulnerable geographical bottlenecks functioning perfectly, day in and day out. So, that brings us to a kind of terrifying question. And I really want you to imagine this. What happens if just one of these gets blocked? Like, what if a single tiny bottleneck on the global map suddenly just fails? Because our oceans are so incredibly connected, a traffic jam in one of these narrow passages isn't just a local problem. Oh no. It creates this devastating immediate ripple effect that crashes across the entire world, hitting markets, industries, and everyday life on literally every continent. Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the energy veins fueling the global economy. To get started, we're heading to the Middle East to look at the Strait of Hormuz. This is a critical passage sitting right between Oman and Iran, connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. Now take a look at the sheer scale of this fraction, 1/5. That is a staggering 20% of all global oil exports squeezing through this one tiny maritime passage. When you realize that a fifth of the world's energy supply relies on this stretch of water, it makes total sense why even a minor hiccup here instantly sends oil prices skyrocketing worldwide. To put a finer point on it, let's look at who's actually depending on this waterway. It's basically a roster of the world's energy heavyweights. We're talking nations like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. They absolutely rely on the Strait of Hormuz. For them, this isn't just some convenient shipping lane. It's the mandatory exit route to get their vital energy resources out to global markets. Without it, their massive oil and gas exports essentially have nowhere to go. Okay, leaving the Middle East, let's head east to another completely critical artery, the Strait of Malacca. Situated carefully between Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore, this is arguably one of the busiest shipping lanes on the entire planet. And why is that? Well, because it serves as the absolute shortest maritime route between Europe, the Middle East, and East Asia. It seamlessly links the Indian Ocean straight through to the South China Sea and the wider Pacific Ocean. And the amount of traffic here is just mind-boggling. Tens of thousands of ships transit this busy corridor every single year. But it's not just oil flowing through here. It's the stuff of our daily lives. Take a second and think about the smartphone in your pocket right now, or maybe the car sitting in your driveway, or the electronics scattered around your house. There's an incredibly high chance those exact items traveled right through the Strait of Malacca to get to you. It's basically the superhighway of modern manufacturing. Let's move to and see how this builds. So far, we've been looking at natural geography, choke points created by the Earth itself. But when nature didn't provide a shortcut, human engineering stepped up to hack global geography. So let's compare these natural bottlenecks with a couple of the most ambitious feats of human engineering ever attempted. This brings us to part 2, the artificial shortcuts, hacking global geography. By literally carving through entire landmasses, these artificial waterways completely eliminate what used to be massive, time-consuming continental detours. The most famous example in the Western Hemisphere is, of course, the Panama Canal. By slicing right through Central America to seamlessly connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, this incredible marvel of engineering means ships don't have to sail all the way down and around the really dangerous southern tip of South America. More than a century after it was built, it's still one of history's greatest engineering achievements and plays an undeniably crucial role in how goods move around the globe. Meanwhile, over in the Eastern Hemisphere, we've got the equally vital Suez Canal. Now sure, technically it's an artificial canal rather than a natural geographic strait, but we absolutely can't ignore it in this conversation. Connecting the Mediterranean Sea directly with the Red Sea, the Suez Canal lets cargo ships bypass the entire massive continent of Africa. It is a legendary shortcut that drastically cuts down transit times between Europe and Asia. And hey, if you need a quick reminder of just how important this artificial shortcut really is, take a look at this staggering quote from 2021. billions of dollars worth of cargo delayed. That brilliantly illustrates the crazy fragility we were talking about earlier. You probably remember when the massive Ever Given container ship got completely wedged sideways in the Suez Canal. For nearly a week, global trade was effectively blocked, which definitely anchored this abstract concept of supply chains to a very real, very expensive, and very disruptive reality for all of us. And that reality perfectly sets up part 3, crucial strategic gateways, where geopolitics meets geography. Because the thing is, these waterways aren't just commercial highways. Their locations make them highly strategic intersections that nations carefully monitor and fiercely protect. A perfect example of this is the Bosporus, located in Turkey. This strategic gateway connects the Black Sea with the Mediterranean via the Sea of Marmara. And incredibly, it runs straight through the heart of a major global metropolis, Istanbul. This makes it an absolutely vital route for grain exports, oil, and tons of other commodities coming out of countries surrounding the Black Sea. Shifting slightly south, we arrive at another critical choke point, the Bab el-Mandeb. This narrow strait is the essential link connecting the Red Sea down into the Gulf of Aden. And why is this so crucial? Well, because almost every single ship traveling between Europe and Asia that wants to use that Suez Canal shortcut we just talked about must first safely pass right through the Bab el-Mandeb. It is literally the mandatory southern gateway. However, this specific route is highly sensitive to geopolitical issues. Recent regional conflicts have really vividly demonstrated just how vulnerable the Bab el-Mandeb can be. When tensions rise and safety is threatened, shipping companies are forced into making a really tough choice. Very often, they have to abandon the Suez route entirely, forcing their ships to take a much longer, immensely more costly detour all the way around the southern tip of Africa. So, the crucial point is, Part 4, the global ripple effect, the butterfly effect of trade. These specific waterways might look like incredibly small, insignificant blue lines on a map, but in reality, they're the very engines that keep the global economy moving forward every single day. I mean, just look at what's at stake here. We are talking about the continuous, uninterrupted flow of fuel to power our grids, grain and food to feed whole nations, and the electronics and consumer goods that basically define modern life. Billions of people, you, me, and everyone we know, rely on these specific maritime choke points for both our basic survival and our modern conveniences. Which brings us to the end of our journey. And now, I really want to hear from you. After looking at all of this data, which shipping route do you think is the most strategically important to our world today? Is it Hormuz, Malacca, Panama? Or, hey, did we miss another major maritime choke point entirely? Drop down and let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this explainer, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the fascinating, highly connected world of global trade.